See, now we will be starting with a new topic, and in this lecture we will be studying about Dalit movements. Now first we need to understand what is the meaning of the term Dalit. Who is a Dalit and why is this specific terminology of Dalit used? When I was talking about and discussing the concept of untouchability, when I covered the topic of untouchability, then I covered a sociologist, that is Eleanor Zeliot. Now she talked about, in her book From Untouchables to Dalits, she talked about how different identities were given to the lower castes. They were labeled as depressed classes by the British, labeled as scheduled caste in the constitution. They were labeled as Harijans by Gandhiji. They were labeled as untouchable, Achuts, Avarnas and Panchamas by our Hindu society, by the Hindu religious texts, as they were not the part of the Chaturvarna system. However, they have also chosen their own identity, the identity of being a Dalit. Now first we need to understand that initially the term Dalit, it was firstly used by Jyotiba Phule, a social reformer, and he launched various campaigns, humongous efforts in order to uplift or emancipate the conditions of the downtrodden or weaker sections of the society, or we can say the subaltern sections of the society. So according to him, Dalits are an oppressive body of humanity. That is, it constitutes a large body of humanity, a large number of individuals which were oppressed in our Hindu society. It just does not include only the untouchables, that is Ati Shudras. It also includes Shudras also, who were part of the Varna system, the Chaturvarna system. Right? But they were the servants, they were made to serve the upper three Varnas. They were also not allowed to read the Vedas or to perform an Upanayan ceremony. So they should also be involved and included in the oppressive body of humanity. Untouchables or Ati Shudras, they are there, they are also labeled as Dalits, and it also includes women as well. So this vast body of or oppressive body of humanity together constitute Dalits. So it includes SCs, it also includes tribals. So it includes SCs, STs, it includes OBCs, that is Shudras, it includes women as well. And what is the meaning of the word Dalit? See, Dalit is a Marathi word, और उसका मीनिंग a person who is broken into pieces, who is crushed, who is oppressed, who is suppressed. This person is broken into different pieces, or it is crushed under the oppressive weight of the caste system, and he suffers from, as we looked into the previous lecture, as social exclusion. That is, he is not allowed full participation in the mainstream of Hindu society. For example, he is not a part of the, or he is not allowed to reside in the core territory of the village, right? He is made to reside outside the village, in the village periphery or on the fringes of the village. So thereby he is residentially excluded, physically or territorially excluded. He is not even allowed to interact with the other castes of the village, not allowed access to even the community wells or community tanks. The Dalits, they need to have their separate sources of water, their own wells and their own tanks. They will not be allowed to access the village well or village tank, which are exclusively reserved for the prominent caste of the village. So these lower caste and untouchables, they are not allowed to get access to these wells and tanks. Not just, since it was a Hindu society, they were not even allowed to practice Hindu religion. They were denied access to God. They were denied access to rituals. They were denied access to temples. For example, they were not allowed to conduct rituals on their own. And even the Brahmins, they refused to conduct rituals on behalf of the untouchables, because Brahmin might be getting polluted. So they were religiously excluded as well. And since the religion was the central pillar of Hindu society, we can say they were extremely socially excluded. Thereby, they were not allowed full participation in the mainstream of Hindu society. Even Hindu gods, Hindu religion, Hindu rituals, they were denied to them. Not just that, they were also economically marginalized, as they were extended dead-end, menial, polluting, dirty occupations. These were non-rewarding occupations, whereas the Brahmins can be religious scholars, and since they were religious scholars, they were performing various sacrifices. In return from the Kshatriyas, they can get gifts of land. As we studied when I was talking about Andre Bete, how Mirsadars, they were able to get gifts of land from the Rajas. So there was a collusion between the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas. Brahmins legitimizing the position of Kshatriyas. So they were having, they were engaged in good occupations, right? Religious scholars, they could be the landlords or jamindars, and priests in the temples. Kshatriyas were also performing good occupations like being warriors, administrators, rulers. Vaishyas were also engaged in good occupations, right? Being engaged in trade and commerce, deriving huge monetary benefits from out of their occupations. Shudras to an extent also, even though they were performing regular day-to-day occupations like agriculture, they were engaged in artisans, manufacture of various handicrafts. Whereas the Dalits, the untouchables, they were made to practice these dead and menial, dirty, polluting occupations in which no skill was involved and there was no reward for them. So they were economically marginalized. Not just that, we also studied how they constituted the bottom of class hierarchy. Not just they were lying at the bottom of the caste hierarchy, they were also lying at the bottom of the class hierarchy as well. And also, this is something that we have already studied. I am just revisiting it from the point of view of as to who is a Dalit. What is the meaning of the term Dalit? Who constitute a Dalit? In the rural economy, they were occupying the lowermost class positions. For example, they were landless laborers. Similarly, in the modern times as well, you can see that they are engaged in the, especially in the rural sphere, they are landless laborers, and they are not able to get a benefit of land reforms. The benefits of land reforms passed into the hands of the intermediary caste, right? The ascendant caste that we talked about. They were not able to enjoy the benefits of land reforms. They were, that is why they are constituting landless laborers. They do not possess any quantum of land, or they possess only marginal quantum of land. They constitute the marginal farmers. Okay. Whereas in the urban sphere, they are engaged in, mostly they are overrepresented in informal sector. They are doing semi-skilled work, in which since in informal sector there is a lack of government oversight, therefore they can be exploited by their masters. And also you will see that they do not enjoy any social security, any social benefits like health, insurance, pension, and due to this they suffer from economic instability, and this creates a kind of economic anxiety amongst them. And also you will see that mostly poverty is concentrated among the Dalits, ठीक है, STs में, SCs में, OBCs में, minorities like Muslims, ठीक है. ये सचार कमेटी ने भी बोला था कि मुस्लिम्स में there is a concentration of poverty, and that is why Manmohan Singh argued that and this is something which is being made very controversial when he argued, but this was part of our academic literature prior to Manmohan Singh, and he was just continuing, right? For example, he argued that minorities he included not just Muslims, he included SCs, STs and OBCs as well. Okay. Even the Sachar committee argued for extension of reservation to Muslims, that they should also be uplifted as well. Their conditions are similar to the conditions that is also that SCs or STs face in case of India. So that all these together constitute minorities. Minorities in the sense that not a numerical minority, minority in the sense that they are not getting access to power. They are not elites. They are not even common masses as well. Okay? They suffer from poverty. So there is a concentration of poverty as well. Now the meaning of Dalit, here we have understood also they were suffering from psychological distress, right? They suffered from centuries of humiliation, dishonor, social stigma, disrespect. If someone continuously disrespects you, you will suffer from anxiety. You will suffer from inferiority complex. You will consider yourself inferior. And this is something that is done to the wives, right? Especially when they move to the husband homes. Okay? This is done to the wives. They are mentally tortured, right? This is something that is being experienced by wives. Okay? So this lowers down their confidence, their self-image, their self-assertion capabilities. Now in order to counter this, in 1960s, a Dalit Panther movement was launched, which redefined the meaning of the term Dalit. That Dalit should not be a broken one. A Dalit should not be suppressed or oppressed one. Rather, and also we need to limit the definition of Dalit. A Dalit is neither an ST, is neither an OBC, and neither woman should be included in it. A Dalit means simply scheduled caste. A Dalit simply means an untouchable. We should limit the use of the term Dalit only to untouchables, so that we can exclusively focus on their conditions and launch various movements in order to uplift their conditions. Otherwise, we will be lacking focus. It will involve a large body of humanity. So, we will be focusing on untouchables. Untouchables, Dalit means untouchables. So, from 1960s, this word Dalit was directly linked only to untouchables after Dalit Panther movement. Dalit Panther movement क्या है हम उसको पढ़ेंगे later on. And also Dalit means not a broken one. Rather Dalit means a person who is awakened, right? Who is awakened from the various awakened against the various Brahminical ideologies. He is countering Brahminic ideology, right? He is not blinded anymore. He is not ideologically indoctrinated anymore. He is awakened. He is enlightened soul, and he is not just awakened. He is assertive as well. He can fight for his rights. He can fight against injustice. He can fight against inequality. He can challenge caste-based discrimination and caste-based inequalities. He does not lack self-confidence. He does not suffer from inferiority complex. Rather, he is proud of the Dalit culture. Dalit culture is egalitarian. Right? Dalit culture is also liberal for women. Dalit culture is this worldly. So he is proud of Dalit culture. He should be proud of Dalit history. He is proud of Dalit icons like B.R. Ambedkar. He is proud of Dalit history like the Bhima Koregaon incident, in which the lower castes, by supporting the British army, defeated the upper caste army. And he should be assertive. Okay? So we should be unifying all these Dalits who have true Dalit consciousness. Since he is awakened, he is having true Dalit consciousness, they can be unified together and they can be engaged in collective assertion. They are collectively asserting themselves, fighting for their rights. They engaged in collective mobilization, and thereby they are launching collective action, collective movement, collective protest in order to fight for their rights. Okay. So first, Dalit means a broken one, suppressed or oppressed. This term was first used by Jyotiba Phule to refer to oppressed body of humanity. It includes Shudras, that is OBCs, Ati Shudras, SCs and women. So this includes all the oppressed body of humanity, that is, it includes the weaker subaltern sections of the society. Okay. So they are broken or suppressed under the oppressive weight of the caste system. which extends to them social exclusion, that is, they are not considered a part of mainstream Hindu society. No space is given in society. They are denied social space. They are not allowed to access, and this is in the form of that is they are living on outskirts of village. These are the examples in order to support this argument that they are not the part of the mainstream Hindu society. They are not allowed to access community wells and tanks. They are not allowed to get access. They do not have any access to religion, God or temple. They suffer from political isolation. Right? They are powerless, they are voiceless, they are unorganized. They suffer from psychological stress due to centuries of humiliation and lack of respect, social stigma. There is a lack of self-confidence and self-image, and they suffer from inferiority complex. They also suffer from economic marginalization, that is, they are practicing dead and menial, polluting and non-rewarding occupations. They are lying at the bottom of the class hierarchy. In the rural sphere, they constitute agricultural landless laborers. This is happening in modern times, that they have overrepresentation in the informal sectors in the modern times. Thereby, there is a lack of social security and economic stability. Since they are engaged in informal sector, no government oversight, no government regulation, and thereby they are exposed to exploitation and oppression by the owner of that enterprise, and they suffer from economic anxiety because they lack social security like pensions and all that stuff. Then there is a concentration of poverty amongst the Dalits. So thereby this word Dalit, now this terminology should be challenged, and we should give a new meaning and perspective to the word of Dalit. We should construct a new Dalit identity. It should not be imposed on the Dalits by the upper caste, right? So Dalit Panther movement was launched, in which the word Dalit was redefined. It was limited only to untouchables and SCs, and it became a revolutionary concept in which Dalit identity is emphasized. The Dalit means a person who is awakened, who can fight for his rights, who can challenge injustice and caste ideology and oppression, who is proud of Dalit culture, Dalit history, Dalit icons, who possess true Dalit consciousness since he is the awakened one. So we are moving, and that is why Eleanor Zelliot argued from movement from untouchable to Dalits, and that is why the name of her book is From Untouchable to Dalits. It means a transition, a transformation from a broken one to an awakened one, to an enlightened one, to an assertive one. So it means from untouchables to Dalits means from a broken one to assertive and awakened being. So since they are assertive and awakened, they can engage in collective assertion, collective mobilization, and they can launch collective movements and collective actions, and they are unified. True Dalit consciousness means they are not blinded by Brahminic ideology propagated through Hindu religious texts like Dharma Shastras and Manu Smriti. इसको specifically अम्बेडकर ने बोला था when he was criticizing Hindu Dharma Shastras and Manu Smriti. Now we are studying Dalit movements. We have understood the meaning of the Dalit and how the meaning of the word Dalit, it underwent transition and transformation, and what does the word Dalit means in contemporary times now. Now what is the aim or objective of Dalit movements, right? So now we will be studying the Dalit movement. See, Dalit movement is not a single movement. Dalit movement is an umbrella term for a large number of movements. These large number of movements were launched across time and space by different social reformers, by different Dalit leaders. For example, initially Buddhism and Jainism was launched, then Bhakti movement, then Sikhism, right, Sufism, and then various movements were launched during the colonial times. And after post-independence era, you will see Dalit Panthers movement and the rise of Dalit politics or Dalit consciousness, Dalit assertion in the form of Kansiram politics or Bahujan Samajwadi Party politics. So Dalit movements are spanned across time as well as they are dispersed across space as well. In different parts of our country, different movements were launched by Dalit leaders, the various social reformers, in order to challenge the hierarchy, institutionalized inequality or systematic caste-based discrimination. So this is something that now, so it is a umbrella term for a series of movement, right, which are scattered across time and space. Now what is the aim of Dalit movement? See, the final goal or the ultimate aim or ultimate objective, ठीक है, which is underlying all Dalit movements, is they want a casteless society. Sant Ravidas, he imagined, right, he imagined and he envisaged a society which is casteless. ठीक है, Sant Ravidas, he was a lower caste saint or poet, a bhakti saint belonging from the lower caste, highly revered in the Hindu society and especially amongst the Dalits. And he imagined, envisaged a casteless society. ठीक है, कि एक ऐसी सिटी होगी, एक ऐसा शहर होगा, उसको उन्होंने लेबल किया बेगमपुरा, द सिटी ऑफ बेगमपुरा. बेगम, in which there is no gum, no sadness, casteless society, no discrimination, no inequality, no evils, no ostracization, no exclusion, no marginalization, no political isolation. So it will be free of all evils, ills, and it is free of all sadness, because it is an equal society, it is a casteless society. So it is like a utopia, like how Karl Marx imagined that we will establish a classless society, that is the utopia of communism, and how in Hindu society utopia is also there, that the true society and polity will be based on Ram Rajya, an ideal kingdom, an ideal society. So this is the ultimate aim. Or if you might have came across the speech that was given by, or interview that was given by Chandra Shekhar Azad Ravan, right, who just got elected from UP, right, a Dalit leader, and he is also, I think, the chief of Bhim army as well. And he argued that our ultimate aim that we are fighting for is Begumpura, in which there will be no gum. So Dalit movement is not a single movement, but an umbrella term for a series of movements which are launched across or scattered across time and space. A more better word will be scattered, right? Scattered across time and space, and these are launched by Dalits to challenge systematic caste-based discrimination and institutionalized inequalities. And the ultimate aim, final goal, and objective is based on the vision of Sant Ravidas to establish a casteless society free of any caste-based discrimination and inequalities. ठीक है, and he envisaged or imagined a utopia, a utopian society which is casteless, right, absolutely, which is egalitarian society in which equality will be there. And he imagined a city of Begumpura, एक ऐसा शहर होगा बेगमपुरा in which there will be no gum, no sadness, right. और इसको आप लिंक कर सकते हैं कार्ल मैक्स यूटोपिया ऑफ क्लासलेस सोसाइटी, कम्युनिज्म एंड राम राज्य. दिस इज समथिंग फॉर जस्ट फॉर योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. ठीक है, or if you write in exam, I think it will not give any negative impact. I think it will give just positive impact as well. How can you connecting Ram Rajya with Begumpura and with communism. ठीक है.